Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
How we doing, people? Good morning to you all. Hope you're all well. Make sure you do me a favor and get yourself over to Manscaped and support our sponsors. All you got to do is click the link in the pinned comment, and then you will take you through to their website where you need to select the Beard Hedger, and it will automatically give you 20% off. I know a few of you have been doing that. So thank you so much for supporting. We need to try and get these guys supported. Manscaped are everywhere. So make sure that you, if you haven't done so already, get yourself some beard trimmers. Even if it's not for you, if it's for your friend, if it's for your dad, if it's for your brother, if it's for a birthday coming up, if you want an early Christmas present to get that sorted, then please make sure that you do that. All you got to do is click a button. It will take 20% off of the Beard Hedger. So please make sure that you do that. Manscaped is no longer just about below the belt. So let's make sure that we support the sponsors, people. Good morning to everybody else as well. Make sure you're doing me a favor and hitting the like button. Make sure you checked out last night's show. Some great discussion with Miguel and Alex last night. So please make sure that you go and head over to that one. Breaking news as we were kind of live yesterday a couple of times. So please make sure you go and see our reactions to that. Good morning to everybody in the chat room. Good morning to Charlie. Hope you're well, Chazza. Good morning to Dan. Morning to Geordie Tune for Life. Steve, John, Ash, hope you're well, bro. Adam, Mayor West, Helsinki, Mike, Barraguda, Mustafa, Emerson, and Craig. And good morning to Mum and Dad off on another holiday. Can you believe it? So I hope you have a great time, guys. And the No Boy as well. The Cowboy, I should say. Big up to all of you for being here nice, bright and early. We've got some news to break. We've got a lot of Arsenal news to get into. The reason we're a little bit later today is because I had to check out the full report of the Arsenal preseason game, which was at 3 a.m. this morning. No, I didn't stay up and watch it, which is why I'm a little bit late today, because I had to go and research what was going on, who was playing, and how we got on. So more on that very, very soon. We're going to be talking about Arsenal players, outgoings, and breaking news for an incoming, which is fantastic. We're going to talk a little bit about Chelsea. We're going to talk a little bit about Manchester United, Man City. We've got it all this morning, as always. So please make sure that you are locked in by hitting the like button. Please make sure you're supporting the channel by subscribing. We're getting very, very close to 22K, people. Very close. If you guys hit the subscribe button, you will hit it, or we will hit it today. So please make sure that you hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free. Hit the like button. If you do want to join as a member and pay a minimal fee towards the channel, then you can do by clicking join, which will pay a minimal fee a month. But I do not expect you all to do that. What I do expect is the bare minimum to hit two buttons that are absolutely free, which is like and subscribe. So once you've done that, we can get into it. We're going to actually start today a little bit differently. We're going to start with Chelsea. I want to end with Arsenal, always end with Arsenal. And I do want to talk about the preseason game as well as the transfer news from Arsenal's perspective, because there's quite a bit, as you'll see from the last couple of streams. But we are going to start with Chelsea. It looks like this guy's off. Conor Gallagher. I don't really understand why Chelsea are getting rid of Trevor Chalobah and Conor Gallagher, but I do understand it, because they are all about 100% profit, and that is what Trevor Chalobah and Conor Gallagher will deliver. Now, Atletico Madrid are apparently the favourites. Team Talk are saying that the 24-year-old midfielder is extremely confident of a move to Atletico Madrid, and Atletico Madrid are extremely confident of securing that deal. I don't think this is a bad move for Conor Gallagher. I just wonder where Chelsea are going in their midfield, because he's the only one that I see with legs, with a little bit of a workhorse. There's rumours up in the air about Enzo Fernandez and all the stuff that's happened in politics away from football with him. Caicedo is probably their best midfielder. Lavia's hardly kicked a ball for them yet, but he's coming back. Where's their creativity in this Chelsea midfield? Probably not much of it. And Nkunku and Palmer are the only ones I can see if they were playing in the 10. But Conor Gallagher is one that gives them absolute workhorse and legs. Now, he's not my favourite player. He's not one of Chelsea's best players. But last season, he actually was one of Chelsea's best players, in my opinion. I thought he was one of the only ones that could walk away with his head held high because he gave 110%. He loves Chelsea. He does not want to leave, from what I'm being told. But at the moment, it looks like he might have to. I don't think they see a future with him at Chelsea. And unfortunately for him, he's going to have to make a move. And Conor Gallagher, I don't know how much they're going to get here. They probably want between 30 and 40 million, I imagine. Maybe they want closer to 50, but I don't think they're going to get much more than that, if I'm honest with you. Conor Gallagher's a good player, but he's not one I look at and think, wow, this is next level. He's taking your midfield, pushing the needle, as they call it, moving the needle. So keeping with Chelsea, because it looks like Chalobah and Conor Gallagher are off. But who's coming in? Well, this goalkeeper, apparently. Philippe Jorgensen. Now, I really thought Chelsea were going to actually do some business that was a little bit different this summer. But no, it is still staying the same. Under 21 Denmark goalkeeper Philippe Jorgensen has attracted interest from Marseille, but Chelsea are closing in on a deal to sign the Villarreal player. They've offered 17 million plus add-ons for the 22-year-old, and they are trying to strengthen their goalkeeping options. Now, does this strengthen the goalkeeping options? Well, it does in terms of quantity, but does it in terms of quality? Is he going to be any better than Petrovic? Is he going to be any better than Sanchez? Well, they hope he is, because I don't rate that Sanchez. But from what Maresca was saying not too long ago, it looked as if Sanchez was going to be the number one goalkeeper. So if this guy's coming in to compete, then fair enough. But Chelsea needed a goalkeeper to come in, in my opinion anyway, Jan Oblak, or go for Diogo Costa and release his clause at 63 million. They don't need another 20-year-old goalkeeper. I just find it really bizarre what Chelsea are doing. I don't understand any of their project. Spend £1 billion, but only spend it on players under 23. Well, that £1 billion could have got you an unbelievable side by now. I really do believe this. Me and LB were talking about this. If you gave me and LB, right, an Arsenal fan and a City fan, £1.5 billion, we'd be able to put a team together better than that. We would have a striker by now that was in the ilk of a Victor Osimhen. We would have a midfield right now that had a creative player in it. We would have a winger right now that people thought, oh, yeah, he's good, not Mudryk or Madueke. We would have a centre-back pairing right now that looks phenomenal. We'd have a goalkeeper that looked like at least people would want. At the moment, Chelsea, what they've done is shown how not to run a football club, in my opinion. This is a perfect case study of how not to spend money at a football club. It is a bizarre thing, but listen, long may it continue. I hope they struggle and continue to struggle, because they are an absolute mess. It's actually embarrassing right now, where Chelsea have come under Roman to where they are now. My goodness, one absolute shambles. It really is. So that's another player that they're looking at. But let's talk about players that might be leaving Chelsea. This is one of them. It looks as if Chelsea are trying to get rid of Romelu Lukaku. Now, they are asking for a price of 37 million, but they are looking to drop that to just under 30 million pounds. Napoli want to play closer to 25 million euros, which is around 21 million pounds for the 31-year-old Belgium international. And if you remember, Antonio Conte has gone to Napoli. That is why this guy is wanted. Now, at 31, to be fair, 25 million pounds is not a bad bit of business. I'm surprised there's not a Premier League club that might not look at this as a good deal, to be fair. 31 years old, 25 million pounds. I'm not talking about Arsenal or Manchester United going in for him, but maybe Spurs. Maybe he could come in and do a job there. They need a striker. Maybe West Ham if he was to drop to a level. But let's be real. The reason Lukaku wants to go to Napoli is not because he likes Napoli or Italy. It's because Antonio Conte is there and he knows him well and he worked so well under him. So I imagine he will be following Antonio Conte to Napoli. So that one could be interesting. So watch what happens here. Another player who's out on his way out of Chelsea, we believe, and someone that people have probably forgotten about, is Brower. Now, I liked Brower when he was at Southampton. I thought he was a good footballer. He's not a goal scorer. He's not a player I look at and think, wow, he's going to be a Chelsea next level player. Apparently, AC Milan have renewed talks with Chelsea to see if a deal can be done. He's 22 years old, the Albanian striker Brower. He's also a target for Everton. That's from Italian reports. So I don't know if this one is going to be a goer. I do not see him staying at Chelsea. I don't. I think Nicholas Jackson is ahead of him. I think the new striker that they're clearly going to bring in will be ahead of him. Whoever that new striker is, I've no idea. But there will be some youngsters now that have come in that are definitely going to be replacing him. I say youngsters, he is only 22 himself, to be fair. But I don't see that he has a future at Chelsea. I think injury problems affected him. He went on loan, didn't really do too well, in my opinion. So that's that. Let's see where we go with Chelsea. That's Chelsea. We need to move on from Chelsea. We need to move to Manchester United. Now, Manchester United are apparently set to intensify their search for a fullback. Now, we've spoken before about Bayern Munich's Moroccan international Mazraoui, 26 years old. He's thought to be a potential option. The Telegraph is suggesting that that is to be the case. And Manchester United are looking to sell Wan-Bissaka before recruiting the replacement fullback. And West Ham are interested in Wan-Bissaka, who's 26 years old, English defender, who I think is brilliant one-to-one, but not great going forward, in my opinion. But once they do that, and once they get the right back sorted, believe it or not, they want to look at a left back. And one of the options is free agent Marcus Alonso. Now, I couldn't believe it when I actually saw this reported. I don't even know how old he is now. He's got to be in his late 30s or mid 30s, surely. But apparently, Marcus Alonso is one of the free options that Manchester United are looking to bring in. Now, they've still got Luke Shaw. They've still got Malacia. I don't know why they're looking to bring him in, but I have to say, it's a player who is Premier League proven and I think is a bit of a experienced head backup option. He's not going to play many games for Manchester United if he is to go there, is he? But they were looking at Ben Chilwell as well not too long ago. But now one of the names on the list, which I think would be a very good signing, is Tariq Mitchell. If he was to leave, I would worry for Crystal Palace because Crystal Palace are being linked with moves away for Elise, Eze, Gehi, and now Tariq Mitchell. Now, they can just turn around and say no, but let's be real. Tariq Mitchell's not going to say no to Manchester United. If they had Luke Shaw and Tariq Mitchell as their left backs, and they had Mazraoui and Dalot as their right backs, and they have Lenny Yoro, De Ligt, and one more who they're looking at, maybe Branthwaite, maybe they'll go for Mark Gehi. They've got a very, very good defence there, Manchester United, and they're doing what good clubs do, and that's build from the back. So Tariq Mitchell and Marcus Alonso both mentioned, and there is, believe it or not, a third left back they're in for, and that is Feyenoord's David Hanko, the Slovakian international, is wanted by Manchester United as well. He is another name on the list. I don't know much about him. I know that Arne Slot did well with him at Feyenoord, and he was also linked with Liverpool, who do need a left back, by the way, because after Andrew Robertson, not a lot of fans have faith in Tsimikas, and Andrew Robertson is definitely getting towards the stage of injury problems that have kicked in. So for me, this one probably, along with Tariq Mitchell, would be the better of the three options. But I think Manchester United are actually moving. And I mean moving. I think Manchester United are going to be back within the next couple of years. I don't think it's going to take long. I done a video on that, which landed last night. I really believe Manchester United now have a structure in place to allow them to compete. And it might not be Ten Hag who's in charge. I don't think these people will have any worry at all about sacking Ten Hag. I really don't. I really don't believe that they'll be in a position where they go, right, yeah, we're sitting in ninth at the moment, and it's like, January, let's just keep him. They'll get rid of him. If he's flirting around anywhere near the bottom of the top half, Manchester United will pull the plug on Ten Hag. I've got no doubt about it. So that's Manchester United. Let's move, shall we? Because we are going to talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold, who apparently wants to commit his future to Liverpool. That's fantastic news if you are a Liverpool fan. He wants to stay, despite the English fullback attracting interest from Real Madrid. That's according to the Mirror. The 25-year-old has won everything in football, hasn't he? Let's be real. He is a generational talent. I am such a big fan of Trent Alexander-Arnold. I honestly do not understand the disrespect he gets. I understand he is not the best at defending. So what? Let him do his thing. Build your team around Trent Alexander-Arnold to allow him not to have to defend, because that's what Klopp did, and look what happened. They went and won Premier Leagues, Champions League, FA Cups, and League Cups. This guy's won everything in the game now. So for me, I think he's a phenomenal talent. And if Liverpool keep him, I think they'll throw the captain's armband his way. I really do. I will say this about Liverpool. They have not done anything. I'm shocked. I thought Liverpool, with a new manager coming in Arne Slot, they would have looked at it and gone, I want him. I want him from Feyenoord. I want this from him from the Dutch league. I want to go and bring him in from the Premier League. Like, Liverpool need players. Like, Liverpool, they really need players. You can't look at Liverpool's team and go, yeah, don't need much. Like, if I was Liverpool, I'd go and buy a spine. Apart from Alisson, I would go and buy a spine. I'd go and get a centre half that definitely is the future, not Van Dijk. And it's fine keeping Van Dijk, by the way, but you need somebody to replace him because he ain't going to be play 30 games a season now. I go and buy a proper defensive midfielder. I like Endo. Endo, I think he's done a really good job, but they needed holding midfielder, in my opinion. Paulinho would have been perfect. If it's not him, you've got to go and find one, whether it's Zubimendi or whoever it be. Then I would go and get a proper number 9, because Jota, he can't stay fit. He's by far their best killer in the box, but he can't stay fit. Darwin Nunez and Diaz, they can go left, and then obviously Salah on the right. Jota can go left. They don't need much more than that. Maybe another midfielder. Maybe a winger if you want, because Salah might get injured if they don't believe Harvey Elliott can play out there or Jota can play out there. But let's be real. I don't think they need like 7 or 8 players, Liverpool. Liverpool should be in a title race with their squad that they've got. They've got probably 5 players that most people would have in their 11s. Alisson, Van Dijk, even Nketiah, who's a quality centre-half, Robertson, Trent, Salah, Jota. They've got top players here. We're not talking about poor little Liverpool. Hopefully they'll scrape in the top 4. Nah, man. If you're a Liverpool fan, you should be going for a title 100% with that squad that you got. That's my brutal, honest opinion. I don't look at Liverpool and think they will, because I don't really have an idea of what Arne Slot's going to do with them, right? But they've got the squad there to definitely compete with Man City and Arsenal. That's what I think anyway. One player who does look like he's going to be out the door again, poor old Calvin Phillips. He needs to go and find another club, doesn't he, and actually try and settle there. On loan at West Ham, it didn't work. Manchester City's been a poor move for him. I actually think Calvin Phillips would have had a better career if he would have just stayed at Leeds, even in the Championship. That's how crazy it is. This one reminds me so much of Jack Rodwell. Do you remember him, people? He went from Everton to Man City. We all thought he was going to be a brilliant midfielder, and it just completely ruined him. I kind of get vibes of that player with Calvin Phillips. But Everton are very much interested in the player on loan. Everton are signing Jesper Lindstrom on loan with option to buy. And yeah, he is definitely a player who Everton are looking at as a loan option. Now, if you remember, they obviously got rid of Onana, so he would probably come in as their holding midfielder. I think he just needs a season where he doesn't get injured and a season to play every game. And we just see what Calvin Phillips is about. I honestly believe he would have gone to Leeds if Leeds would have gone up. And I still think that is his future. I think that Leeds is where he found himself. Leeds love him. Probably the only club that do want him. I think that could work, but they need to get himself into the Premier League first. So that could be one to watch. Listen, let's move to Arsenal, because Arsenal were very, very busy last night, and the preseason game that we are going to touch on. But we got an Ornstein bomb. We got a Fabrizio Romano bomb. We finally got a here we go for Riccardo Calafiori. Yes, it's finally getting done. And it's been probably the longest drawn out transfer that Arsenal have had for a long time. But it looks now like this is going to happen and Arsenal will get their man. This is a player that we have wanted for clearly some time. And Bologna and Basel have agreed their situation. Arsenal and Bologna have agreed a fee. And it looks like now a medical is set. And he will be joining us over in our tour in the US. So this one is going to happen, people. Be excited. Riccardo Calafiori is going to be an Arsenal player. And it's good money as well, I must say. For a £40 million mark, that is a very, very good signing for Arsenal. And one that a lot of people are talking about. A player that I think will come in and start now to show what Mikel Arteta wants as his left back. It's this guy. I think he's going to be so comfortable on the ball, and offensively he's going to be great for us as well as defensively. A lot of people need to calm down a bit with the Nesta and Cannavaro and Maldini vibes and Sergio Ramos vibes. I think his long hair probably has, something to do with that personally, and the fact he's from Italy. But for me, looks a phenomenal talent. So let's hope that we get to see the best of Calafiori at Arsenal. We spoke last night about how we might see the Arsenal defence line up now. I think it's clear. I think Ben White will probably invert and allow for Calafiori to do his bit, but there is an opportunity for Calafiori to invert and Ben White, who is also very comfortable on the football, to do his thing. Saliba and Gabriel as a partnership, it's superb. Calafiori can cover a few positions. Jurriën Timber, who is playing at centre-back at the moment in pre-season, which is very interesting because he's a player who can play there, very versatile. Lots of rumours suggesting he could be coming in a few positions this season. Right back, left back, centre back, defensive midfield. It's great to have options like that and versatility. So, yeah, Calafiori is going to be one hell of a player. But we got the David Ornstein bomb that Emil Smith-Rowe is off. He is on his way to Fulham. We've pretty much agreed a fee that's going to be in the region of £35 million. I imagine there's some form of add-ons that will either get it to 35 or be included on top of that. But the David Ornstein tweet came quite late last night, actually, suggesting that Fulham are close to reaching an agreement with Arsenal to sign Emil Smith-Rowe. Talks over a move are worth up to 35 million. It would be a record recruit for Fulham and a match the biggest Arsenal sale that we have had ever at the club. If the deal is struck, the 23-year-old is expected to do a medical and finalise terms. That's come from David Ornstein at The Athletic. And he did not travel last night. He did not travel last night. He did not feature last night. Arteta says that he wants to keep him away from this game because there's stuff happening behind the scenes, which basically, guys, means that Smith-Rowe is going to be off. Now, 35 million is actually a good bit of business, in my opinion, for someone who's been injured for 18 months. I think we needed to get at least that. So I'm glad that we've not sold him for cheap and that he's off for 15, 20 million, because that would have really annoyed me. What I do find a little bit sad is when I hear the rumours of Smith-Rowe saying back in 2020 and 2021 that he wants to stay at Arsenal for as whole of his career. He wants to be a one-man club. And back then, let's be real, in the COVID year and the year after that, Smith-Rowe broke onto the scene and pretty much, along with Saka, saved Mikel Arteta his job. If you remember, Martinelli, Smith-Rowe and Saka coming into the mix against Chelsea at home, we got battered and bruised by Wolves and Villa at home and Leicester and Everton, and we lost to Burnley at home and Villa smashed us. And I was thinking, this guy's got to go. And Smith-Rowe came on the scene, and for the rest of the season and the season after, he was one of Arsenal's best players and played in the attacking role of out on the left or in the middle, scored a lot of important goals and looked like he was going to be a hell of a talent. And injuries have not done him any favours since around 21-22. He's not been able to get, for the last couple of seasons, a run of games fit. So Fulham are paying a big price, but is it worth the risk? Well, it is. If he can stay fit, they've got a phenomenal talent. Honestly, they've got such a good player there. If he stays fit, I think he could be a really, really good player. And I look at how good Jack Grealish was when he was 18, 19, 20, coming through the youth system at Villa, and Smith-Rowe was better than him. Now, Jack Grealish hasn't gone on to have a phenomenal career, but he's gone on to have a very good career. So what could Smith-Rowe do? Honestly, I believe that could be a really good bit of business. So let's see what happens. Let's see where when that one gets done. Arsenal are also willing to listen to offers for Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah did play last night, which we're going to touch on very, very soon. And Eddie Nketiah is being linked very, very highly with Marseille. Now, Gal made a good point last night on the show to suggest that Arsenal's relationship with Marseille is very good. If you can think of the players that we have shared in the last few years, then obviously Marseille have a good relationship. I think Kolasinac went over there. Nuno Tavares went over there. Marseille, we know William Saliba and Guendouzi went over there. So for me, Eddie Nketiah could be the next one that heads over to France. And I think in the French league, he could actually score quite a few goals, to be honest. I don't know how much we're going to get for him. I imagine it will be similar in the price to Emil Smith-Rowe. And what you've got to remember is that we get 100% profit on these because they are literally all Howenders. So I think, for me, this would be really good business if Arsenal could try and get as close as they can, like Smith-Rowe's deal, to 35 million. Getting 70 million for Smith-Rowe and Eddie Nketiah combined would be very good business for Arsenal, in my opinion, because particularly Eddie Nketiah, that's not someone that we're going to 100% miss. Maybe Smith-Rowe, and what do we need to do now? Well, I think we need to go and look at a creative midfielder now as well, because Fabio Vieira, as much as he scored last night, we'll touch on that in a minute, I don't think he's the right guy to cover for Ødegaard. So is it going to be Ethan Nwaneri, or are we have to go and get somebody like an Eze? I hope it's the latter. I really do. The other player who's linked with a move away yesterday, we touched on the show, is, of course, Reiss Nelson. Leicester are showing interest in Reiss Nelson, and it looks as if they could be the favourites to bring him to the club. They're rivaling West Ham, who have shown a little bit of interest previously. There was Nottingham Forest looking at him as well. 24 years old, Reece Nelson now, and the English winger, according to the Times, is looking likely to leave Arsenal. He wants first-team football. Leicester are the club that apparently are after him, and it is a loan with an obligation to buy. Now, I don't mind that so much as long as it's an obligation to buy. I don't want it to be an option to buy where they can turn it down. For me, this has to be done, and I think with PSR, we're going to get a lot of this now. We're going to get a lot of loans. The only good thing about loans with obligations to buy is that the money's coming in and you can spend that money like ASAP. We don't have to wait for it to be brought in. We don't have to wait for the players wait for the money to arrive before we can spend it. We know it's coming in. So I believe if we can try and push for as close to 20 million for this, I think it would be good business. And I think now that it's an obligation to buy, Arsenal should try to push for that now. Now that we're saying, look, you can have him on loan, it would be 25, it would be like 15 million, but now it's an obligation. We're going to push to 20. I think they're probably going to think, do you know what? We want him for 15, but seeing as we get him for loan for a year, we don't have to pay it for a while. We'll give you 20. That's what I hope that we do anyway. And it looks like Leicester could be the club for him. Now, is Reece Nelson going to want to go there? I'm not saying that it's a bad move, but Leicester are going to get a points deduction of between 6 to 10 points and going to be favourites to get relegated. And are my tip to come bottom. So is that going to be something that Reece Nelson wants? I don't know. That could hold things up. So I think we need to keep an eye on that one. There is some other news, which is outside of Arsenal, but linked to it. Guess who wants to play for England again now? Ben White has suggested that he is well up for getting back into the Arsenal side. Now, I think this is really good for England. I think it's really good for Ben White. And look, I know it has come from the Daily Star, but Ben White is considering a shock international U-turn following the departures of England's Gareth Southgate and Steve Holland. He has to play in the England setup, doesn't he? Let's be real. He has to be there. And apparently he now wants to come and play for his country again. So when people were saying Ben White's let his country down, Ben White's a disgrace, Ben White doesn't want to play for England, I said, look, let's just see what this is. If this is Gareth Southgate, when he goes, he'll want to come in and play again. And all of a sudden, boom, he wants to come play again. And if I'm honest with you, I'll leave this quickly on England. I expect to see a few changes in the England side for the better now. I do. I think, look, Pickford and Ramsdale can fight over the number 1 jersey. That's all good. But no more Trippiers and Walkers. I think we're done with them now. We have to look at Trent. We have to look at Ben White, Reece James if he's fit. Obviously, Tariq Mitchell needs to come into the mix at left back with Luke Shaw and Chilwell. We definitely need to look at the Tamoris and Mark Guehies and Konzas and Branthwaites that come into the mix with John Stones. In midfield, we've got Kobe Mainu and Declan Rice and Bellingham and Foden. That's going to be very exciting. And then we've got Harry Kane. Who's going to replace him? Well, that's a big question mark. Tony and Watkins are the only real ones there. Solanke, maybe. There's nobody else other than, some of the youngsters coming through. And then we've got exciting wide players like Palmer, Saka, and Anthony Gordon over there. So for me, I think that England squad should 100% be competing in the next few tournaments, that's for sure. And let's see who takes over the England manager's job. But Ben White wants to play for England again. Lastly, on Arsenal, before we do move to pre-season, Jacob Kiwior is the guy that the Serie A clubs are hoping is available. And it looks as if it's actually Inter Milan who are the club who are most interested in him. So if he is to leave, Inter Milan are very hopeful that Arsenal signing Calafiori will force the club to sell 24-year-old Polish defender Jacob Kiwior. That's come from the Standard. Inter Milan favourites, but a lot of Serie A clubs are looking at Jacob Kiwior. I honestly believe he can go and get first-team football. I actually don't mind Kiwior. I think he's got a place in the squad personally. I don't think he's the best left centre-back that we've got or left-back that we've got, but certainly I would rather keep Kiwior and sell Zinchenko. That's the way round I would rather do it, but it looks like it's going to be the other way around. I will say this, though. If he wants to go and he wants to go and find first-team football elsewhere, we have to appreciate that. We have to respect that. We have to say fair play to Jacob Kiwior there. The other bit of news I wanted to bring before we go to pre-season is that Arsenal have actually signed a development and that squad analyst from Manchester City. This was reported yesterday and last night, actually, that Manchester City's elite development squad analyst, Darren Rodgerson, is leaving the club to join Arsenal's first team. Rodgerson is highly thought of inside Man City, is due to start work in the first few months of the upcoming season. Now, what I'm hearing from Sky Sports' little source is they do not like what's happened with Chido Obi-Martin. He has now left the club. He is going to go potentially to Manchester United or over to Germany, find a new club, and he's going to come in and help. Now, Manchester City highly rate this guy. He's somebody that Arteta is clearly aware of, and he's going to come in and work with Arsenal's youth system and development system. So I think that could be very interesting in the coming years to see what happens and how much of a difference he makes. You never quite know, do you? You never quite know what he's going to be up to or what his job role will be. I imagine he'll be working with Per Mertesacker and Edu and the team to try and look at who they believe are the next future Sackers and the next futures Jack Wilsheres and the next future Rocky Rocastles and Tony Adams of this world, and make sure that they keep them, because I think that the club are probably disappointed they've lost Chido Obi-Martin. And I am, to be fair. I'm actually quite annoyed that we've lost Chido Obi-Martin. He was going to be the next best thing, according to most of the rumours coming out of Arsenal. But he's now no longer an Arsenal player. So we're going to have to see. I'm hoping that he doesn't go on to do great things, because it would be very, very gutting. That's for sure. Let's talk about pre-season then, shall we? Because last night, early hours of this morning, 3 a.m. UK time, Arsenal played Bournemouth. And Arsenal-Bournemouth was 1-1. We're going to take a look through the match report now. That's what we're going to do. So let's share the screen and let's get the match report up, because this is one of the first times that I'm looking at it as well. Look at that. Not only is this show live, but it's also live, exclusive, and live for me for the first time. So our opening game of the US tour ended in a draw over 90 minutes, followed by a shootout, which was apparently a pre-arranged agreement that it would go to penalties, whatever the score was. And it was a penalty shootout win for Arsenal against Bournemouth in LA. Fabio Vieira drilled home a fine volley in the 17th minute. It was a very, very good, technically gifted goal. It was close range, but it was a very good cross from Nelson and a great bit of technical skill. Fabio Vieira has got a fantastic left foot. Unfortunately, that's about all he has got, in my opinion, which sounds a little bit harsh. But Vieira drilled home a fine volley in the 17th minute to hand us a half-time advantage. But Semenyo's deflected shot brought the Cherries level on 72 minutes. Now, the goal, if you go and watch it, was such a deflection off of Ben White. You know, Ben White turned and it hit his foot and then looped over Cole Hines' head. It was a really, really lucky goal. A good number of our travelling squad got some useful minutes under their belts as they built up for a game against Manchester United in the Sophie Stadium on Saturday. We then run out 5-4 winners on penalties, with Cole Hine, the hero, denying the Cherries twice before Jacob Kivior stepped up to convert our 6th penalty. Arteta opted to start with a mixture of youth and experience, with Heaven, Nwaneri, Mini Salah, as we call him, and Miles Lewis-Skelly, all given the nod to start, and they all put in solid displays during a strong opening 45. Despite us enjoying the majority of possession in the early stages, the opening chance actually went to the Cherries, but Solanke blasted over when well placed. In the 17th minute, however, we made our early dominance pay. Nelson was fed on the left flank by Nwaneri and tricked his way past Max Aarons to get into the byline and clip across to the back post. That was where Vieira was lurking to expertly volley into the bottom corner and get our tour off to a perfect start. Bournemouth had named a strong side, packed with their Premier League starters, and with more minutes under their belts, understandably began to grow into the game around midway point of the first half and cause us more problems. Favour went close when he fizzed a low shot across the goal, and then on 35 minutes, Solanke seemed destined to score when he slipped past Evan and blasted goalwards, but Hines showed excellent reactions to flick the ball onto his crossbar. That was a really good save, by the way. It looks like he hit the bar, but Hines actually got fingertips to that, so that was a fantastic save. Mikel opted to make just one alteration to his lineup at the interval, with skipper Martin Odegaard being introduced, and just after the hour mark, a quiet opening 15 minutes of the second half that only saw another Solanke shot fly into the crowd. 7 more players were introduced by the boss, including our quartet of Euro 24 stars. The injection of fresh legs sparked the game back into life, and Hine had to be at his best when a neat flick from Jebison sent Ouattara through on goal. But the Estonian stopper stayed big and made the block before Odegaard whipped a free kick goalwards that Neto pushed around the post. On 72 minutes, the Cherries restored parity. Semenyo won possession off Omar Rekic and charged forward, saw a spectacular attempt to deflect off of Ben White and loop towards the top corner. And this time, there was nothing that Carl Hine could do to prevent it. It literally looped over his head. There was nothing more that he could do. With 7 minutes remaining, it looked as though we might edge back in from a fine Ødegaard pass, which slipped in Trossard, who twisted and turned in the area to get a shot off, but Neto blocked with his feet to deny us a win. Then there was heroics from High, and although the game ended in a draw, 90 minutes, it was decided in advance a penalty shootout would take place regardless of the scoreline. Semenyo and Ødegaard stepped up first and both found the bottom left corner. Very good penalties before Carl Hine produced an outstanding save to deny Philip Billing at full stretch. Hine was probably the hero of the day, to be fair, although I'm not a huge fan. He had a very good game. Zinchenko fired into the bottom left corner to score his penalty. Atara, Jorginho and Adam Smith scored the next 3 penalties, which were well taken. But Trossard's driven effort bounced back off the post and missed, meaning that we were level heading into the 5th round of penalties. Jebbison scored with a low, powerful effort before Gabriel Jesus emphatically took the shootout to sudden death with what I thought was the best penalty of the night. I thought Gabriel Jesus's was class. Full of confidence from his impressive shot-stopping performance on the right, Carl Hine produced another impressive save to deny Ryan Christie down low before Jacob Kivior stepped up to find the bottom left corner, sending Neto the wrong way, winning the shootout. Well, obviously, the next thing that Arsenal will have on their minds is Saturday, where we play Manchester United. So please make sure that you tune in for that one, and we'll do some reaction on that game also. Listen, we've won on penalties. We've drew the game. A lot of players got a good run out. And if I'm honest, it's good for us to start pre-season in that way. Definitely getting some minutes in our legs is always a good thing. The starting 11 for Arsenal was Carl Hine, Ben White, Jurriën Timber and Heaven playing together at centre-back as a pairing. Lewis Skelly, again, starting at left-back and putting in some solid performances there from what I'm hearing. Thomas Partey started, which is always good. Ethan Nwaneri, Fabio Vieira, Mini Salah, Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah. The Arsenal subs were Setford, Nygaard, Roas, Zinchenko, Nichols, Kivior, Rekic, Jorginho, Rosiak, Ødegaard, Smith-Rowe, Gower, Trossard, Sego Jr. and Jesus. So, to be fair, a lot of first teamers there as well. And to be fair, the Bournemouth team was actually quite a strong team. I recognise most of their players. I recognise most of what they were about. And Bournemouth, to be fair to them, had their chances. You know, Solanke hit the post. He put one over the bar. Atara should have scored when he went through. Carl Hine really did impress. I don't know who else was fantastic without speaking to the AFTV lads who were there and saw it. I know people that are out there, but due to the early hours of the morning, I haven't spoken to any of them about who impressed for Arsenal, but the reports suggest that Carl Hine was one of them. Good to see some of the youngsters out there now. I really do feel this is the year with so many games to see the likes of Lewis Skelly, the likes of Ethan Nwaneri coming into the mix. So I expect to see them get some minutes this season in League Cup games and potentially in the few of the FA Cup games. And I think they'll probably see on the bench. So let's see what happens. Rekic Ralph, they're calling him now. That is brilliant from Red Eye Gooner. Rekic Ralph. That's fantastic. I love that. Listen, transfer window is open. Transfer news underway. This has been a good show. I do appreciate these morning shows and I appreciate all of you. Almost 400 of you in here. Please make sure you've all hit the like button and you've subscribed to the channel. Those 2 buttons are free and we are trying to do that every single morning. We are trying to get as many likes and as many subscribers as we can. So please make sure you do it. It's free content. It's absolutely free for you to do, which is click the like and subscribe button. So please make sure you're doing that. We've only got 125 of you in there that have done that. Let's get that up to 200 people. Come on. I believe in you. You can do it. Also, please click on the pinned comment because you can get yourself 20% off of beard trimmers. Please make sure that you click on the link. It will take you to Manscaped. Click on beard and face, click on beard hedger, and 20% will automatically come off through that link. So please, please, please make sure that you do that because we are trying to help out Manscaped, who of course are helping out the channel. So by you selecting and purchasing those trimmers for 20% off, you're massively helping the channel and massively helping our sponsors. So please make sure that you do that. Listen, you guys have been legends. I really appreciate all of you. I really do. I mean that. It's been a phenomenal start to the season, pre-season. Start to transfer window and seeing the numbers grow, seeing the channel flying at the moment is really, really filling me with joy. So I really appreciate that. That means I'm going to keep coming back because you guys are clearly liking it. If you guys turn up, then I'll turn up. we'll make a deal. I really appreciate all of you. Take it easy. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Arsenal.
Yes, people, Manscaped is back. But this time, it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of radiant settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.